Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Now, as I told you at the beginning of this chapter itself, that in this unit we are not only going to learn about what is education and why is it important to be educated, but also how is psychology helping us, in order to impart a better education to the students. What is the role of psychology in it? Now, before we understand the role of psychology, it is important for us to understand what is psychology in itself. Now, psychology is derived from the word psyche and logos. Now, the word psyche means something which is your soul, something which is inside you. And logos means a science or a stream of a subject, the study of a subject. So basically, if we join the two words together, we understand that psychology is that stream of study, is that subject wherein we learn about our soul, wherein we learn about what is going on inside us. Rather than what is there on our face, on our body, no, what goes deep down inside us is more important, because by the end of the day, that is what defines our character. One may be very wonderfully dressed. Imagine a man who's wearing the smartest suit, is very well dressed, hair properly combed, shoes properly polished. So he looks like a perfect gentleman. But the moment that person starts to speak, you see the person, using an inappropriate language with somebody else. And that is when education comes in. So how you look does not matter, but what is there inside you is what matters the most. And therefore, psychology is the study of us, deep inside us, our soul, our mind. Now, obviously, psychology, when we say we can study the psychology, we can study the mindset of a person. You can study it of two people together, of an organization, and everything can be studied and can be interpreted in one way or the other. And therefore, it is very important to learn psychology because it studies our mental process. It studies what is there inside our mind, not brain. Brain and mind are two different things, and we are going to learn that in Unit 5. So what is there inside our mind is what defines our mental strength. It defines our mental character. It defines our behavior. It defines our characteristic. It defines our experiences. And that is when psychology comes into picture. Now, as I just told you that learning and studying psychology is going to help you understand your mental process, your experience, your behavior. But how does it help us do that? Now this, for example, I'm going to explain this with the help of an example. Imagine yourself going out of your house in the middle of a July month when it is extremely hot, if I talk about the place. So it is extremely hot, middle of the day, 12 noon, you have to go out for some urgent work. Okay? Now, if you are going for something which does not interest you, where you are going willingly, where you don't want to go, but just out of an obligation you are doing that, would you be happy with it? Obviously not. You are going to feel the entire journey to be very uncomfortable. You are going to feel the heat. You are going to feel the sweat. Every time you perspire, you're going to feel that. Why? Because in our mind, we are not happy that we are out of our house on this sunny afternoon. On the other hand, take another situation where, again, it is a hot sunny afternoon, it is 12 noon, you have to leave your house. But this time you are leaving the house because you have to meet your friends. You have to go out for a movie with them, you have to go out for a wonderful lunch with them. Now, since you are looking forward to meeting your friend, you're looking forward to enjoying a wonderful afternoon with your friend, all this discomfort is not going to bother you. Because in your mind, you are very happy. And since you are happy, obviously all these discomforts, all the problems that you might have faced are going to be kept aside. And that is why we say that mind, as I told you, is something that is going to define what is, it that drives us ahead. Our mind is going to continuously work every time, even when we are sleeping. Believe me, our mind is not going to sleep. We dream in our sleeps, right? There are times when you are fast asleep and there is a knock on your door. How are you able to hear that? Because your mind is awake, and that is how you get to know about that knocking sound. So mind is something that is always awake and is going to remind you of all the things that take place, during your day, even when you are asleep. As I said, experiences of the people count a lot. Or what have you been through in your lives? What all experiences you have had are going to directly impact your ideologies. A person who's always found himself or herself being in a trouble is always going to foresee trouble in their life. For them, even walking on a straight road or walking in a garden, a grassy garden, is going to be full of these apprehensions, full of these fears and inhibitions, that there might be some problem that they will face. Why? Because their experiences have taught them like this. On the other hand, take for an example a person who, although has been through a lot of problems in lives, but has always made sure to overcome those problems with a lot of positivity and optimism. Now, what will this man do in case of a problem, faced with a problem or an issue? This person is going to have the same ideology in mind and is going to take it positively and is going to find a way out of it, is going to look for a solution to it with positivity rather than, regretting about it or complaining about it. So this is where the experience of a person. And as I gave you the example of you going out in a sunny afternoon with your friends versus you going out for some work which does not please you, this defines our behavior. Behavior means obviously the reactions or how do we respond to our activities. I behaved differently in both the situations. When going out for some work that was of no interest to me, I was very sad, felt very lethargic, was finding errors and finding flaws in almost everything I came across. On the other hand, the same me, when going out to have fun, is going to look for a positive side of it, and no matter how harsh the weather be, believe me, if you want to do something, you will do it irrespective of anything. And how does this come into picture? What decides it? It is our behavior that decides it. So this is how our mental process, that means our mind, which is always awake, tells us what is to be done, when it is to be done. Our experiences lay a very strong foundation of our future, or rather whatever we want to do in life. And then obviously our behavior is going to decide what we are going through. Whether it is giving us positivity or it is making us sad and depressed is all going to depend on our. So this is how, my dear students, as I told you, the importance of our mind, behavior as well as experience matters. Now on your screen again, you can see some of the most acceptable definitions of psychology. As I told you, definitions we are always going to learn properly, because you can expect questions in your paper wherein you might be asked to define psychology according to Crow and Crow, who was a psychologist, or C.V. Good or Bertrand Russell. So such questions can be asked from you in your paper, and that is why it is very important for you to learn all the definitions by heart. I'm repeating again and again. Now, as I told you, that behavior is something that is going to decide for us whether what we do is enjoyed or is not enjoyed. Right? This is what we learned. We took the wonderful example of going out on a hot sunny afternoon. Let me take some other example. For example, I am going for a swim, let's say. One is the situation where I am going for a swim only because my mother wants me to, because she is afraid that I might become lazy and fat and a couch potato being at home. And the second situation is when I want to go for swimming myself because I wish to keep myself active and strong. Now, in the first situation, how are you going to behave? You are going to be very annoyed and irritated with your mother, telling her that you don't want to go but are still going because of her choice. And in the second situation, things are going to be very smooth and light-hearted for you, and you're going to enjoy every swim, every stroke that you make, every dip that you take. Why? Because it was very special and important to you. So that is where behavior comes into picture. And we know what is life. Life is nothing but a combination of both activities and our behavior. There are so many activities that we do every day in our lives. Walking, swimming, running, sleeping, eating, talking, dancing, exercising. All these are the activities, which is one part of our life. And the other part of our life is our behavior. It is how do we think, how do we reason with things, how do we imagine things, and also how effectively you exercise your feelings. If I have decided that I am going to be happy no matter what, I am going to make sure that under every circumstance I am going to keep myself happy and satisfied and proud. And with this determination in mind, believe me, there would not be anything that would stop you from achieving what you want. Now, obviously, behavior again is not only something that we act or we depict when we are conscious, but also when we are subconscious and unconscious as well. When I am all wide awake, the way I am behaving with people, the way I am talking to people, the way I am greeting people, that defines my behavior. When I am subconscious, that means I'm just lying down with my eyes closed because I want to give some rest to my mind. That is the stage when I am subconscious, when I have though tried to keep my mind at calm, at peace, but it is still working. So what do I do? How do I do things at that point of time is again that defines my behavior. And even when we are unconscious, even when due to, let's say, any illness or any medical emergency, let's say I become unconscious. How do I behave in that situation? How well do I act? How composed I keep myself? And keeping in mind that I don't end up misbehaving with anybody, taking advantage of my state is again that defines my behavior. And obviously, that is how human beings are different from animals. Why? Because of their behavioral changes. Even the children, the adults, they all are different from each other. Why? Because of the changes, because of the implications of their behavior in their life. So it is your behavior, my dear students, which defines you, which refines you, and which makes you known by the people. Now, let us move ahead. Here on your screen, dear students, you can see some of the events that took place in the history and played a very important role in the history of modern psychology. In the year 1879, again, this is something that has to be learned by you. So, in the year 1879, Wundt established his first laboratory. In 1890, it was William James who published the book Principles of Psychology. 1892, it was G. Stanley who founded the APA, and so on and so forth. So this is how education and the behavior, has grown and developed over the years. This is how the human, the modern psychology has progressed with the growing years. And as we have just learned that psychology and a human behavior go hand. Now, my dear students, I'm going to pause here. In my next lecture, I'm going to continue and begin with teaching you the different branches of psychology. So I shall see you all now in my next lecture. Now, we had learned about why is education important and how does education separate a human being from the other lower animals. I told you that it is important for you to learn all the definitions which are given by the psychologists or the famous personalities. We talked about what is psychology and why is it important and how does it define our mental process, our experience, and how does our behavior, impact our decisions and our mindset. Now, before we proceed further and learn about the branches of psychology, it is important for us to learn the implication that science has in psychology. What is the importance of science? How far and how well is science impacting the psychology these days? Now, as per the ancient beliefs, if I talk about the ancient definition of psychology, it said that one has to reflect oneself, self-reflection, analysis of our conscious experiences. This is what was psychology in the ancient times, thinking and spending time with yourself, thinking about all the good and the bad deeds that you've done, learn from whatever things you have been through in your life, and communicate the same to the coming generation. Similarly, how and in what manner did you behave and treat the people when you were conscious? So this is how, in the ancient manner, psychology of the people was read. But when we talk about modern psychology, science has a very important role to play in modern psychology. Why? Because it affects you not only when you are conscious, it affects you not only, in the manner and tells you how to think and what to think, but also the fact that there are so many concepts which has been brought, forth by scientific methodology these days that measuring the things has also become very popular and has become very probable as well. For example, the hypothetico-deductive model. Let us talk about this model. What does this model talk about? Now, according to this model, scientific advancement, whatever betterment will take place in science, can take place only if you have a theory to explain that phenomenon. Nothing can be just said and written. Everything has to be explained. Everything has to first, explained properly. The entire phenomenon of the same has to be taught to the people, and only then that scientific theory is going to get validated. This is what the hypothetico-deductive model talks about. Going in line, we all have heard about the Big Bang Theory. We all know about it, right? We have all heard about the Big Bang Theory as well. I am sure you all know about that. So, Big Bang Theory. What was Big Bang Theory? Big Bang Theory was simply explaining about the existence of the universe. Now, this theory was not just thrown to the people that the universe exists. There were multiple researches which were made. There were data, which were collected. There were hypotheses. There were assumptions which were made. Everything was tried. Everything was tested. Something came positive. Something was false. And then gradually one was able to gather whatever information was required to validate, to strongly implement the fact that yes, the universe exists and thereby the Big Bang Theory also exists. So you see, this hypothetico-deductive model is just an example which tells us that science has a very important role to play in psychology, because putting forth something to the people without having a valid argument for that, without having a valid theory for something, is going to be of no importance at all. And then apart from it, there are psychologists who come up with theories for learning, theories for their memory, how much attention can a person pay on one thing, motivation, emotion, all these aspects have been covered well by the scientists and interlinked with the psychology. And that is why it is believed that science is in itself a vast stream, and it has got a good impact and a good, connection with the psychology, because it tells people to find answers, to find theories, to explain and to support their assumptions. That is what science is telling each of us.